on, everybody? Welcome to Cafe and Views. Today we went to Peet's Coffee and we got their pumpkin latte. Let's talk about the coffee shop. This coffee shop is predominantly like a Starbucks or a Dunkin'. It's more of a big chain type of coffee shop. I wanted to see if Peet's Cafe can actually keep up with Starbucks and Dunkin'. If I could make Peet's Cafe my new powerhouse, or if I'm gonna keep Starbucks or Dunkin' as the number one. When you first walk in, it's really spacious. It reminds you of a big coffee shop. There's a lot of seating on the inside. There's a lot of seating on the outside. They have a lot of different coffee options to choose from. You could brew it however you want to. They have lattes, cappuccinos, macchiatos, cold brews. Pretty much you name it, they got it. They also have coffees that you can buy and brew as well. They have a wall in the coffee shop where you can see what kind of coffees they have. And they're really unique, they're really complex. The customer service is also really welcoming. They kind of tailor to what you want. They describe what they have. You get a coffee that best fits you. But it is still on a busy Ventura Road, like most of the coffee shops have been. So there's gonna be a lot of cars, there's gonna be a lot of noise. You could also sit inside if you don't want to be around that loud sound. They also have different snack options that you could choose from. It's not just small snacks. You can get sandwiches, you could get egg and cheese, you can get other drinks as well besides coffee. So they definitely have diversity there. For the overall shop, I'm gonna give this about a 3.5 out of 5. Let's talk about Acidity. This is a pumpkin spice latte, the first that I've gotten out of 35 episodes, 35 coffee shops. Not many of them actually had the pumpkin spice option, believe it or not, but you do get a prominent sweetness from it. You don't get any real sour notes as well. Pumpkin spice, it's gonna be sweet. There's gonna be a lot of sugars and additives that went into it. But the sweetness does give me that, the Fruity Pebbles type of experience. So if you can imagine that kind of sweetness, that's exactly what you're getting from this coffee. It is mellow, it is tame, and you do get that almond milk from it. For acidity, I'm gonna put this at a 3 out of 5. Let's talk about aroma. Right off the bat, you're getting that strong pumpkin smell from it. If you could think of a typical pumpkin spice aroma, that's exactly what you're getting in this coffee. It's real pronounced, it's real out there. You're definitely not gonna miss it, and you definitely smell it. It's real prominent, so you are gonna smell it from far away. I'm only just getting the prominent pumpkin spice smell. Usually these coffees, when you get pumpkin spice or you get vanilla, it usually takes over. So the pumpkin is taking over the aroma in this coffee. It does attract you from warm. I am the type of guy to get pumpkin spice during the cooler months, and today it's cloudy, it's 70 degrees. So today's perfect for that kind of pumpkin spice aroma and taste. The aroma does bring you to that pumpkin patch type of area. So when you're drinking this coffee, you're thinking of that cooler weather, October, November. You're going to the pumpkin patch, you're picking pumpkins, and you're having a good time. The leaves are falling, and it just overall creates that orange vibe to it. So it's gonna put you in that fall mood. It's gonna take away that summer and spring feeling, and it's gonna replace it with that fall feeling. For aroma, I'm putting this at a 4.5 out of 5. Next up is gonna be flavor. But the pumpkin flavor, it's not coming out as much as it is in the aroma. Still can detect that it's a pumpkin spice latte, but it's not real prominent. It's not real out there. It's not gonna punch you in the face in terms of, hey, this is a pumpkin latte. But if you smell it, it's definitely gonna do that. But because it's pretty tame and it's not in your face, I probably would say that the flavor is more pleasant than the aroma. But the flavor does get enhanced by the aroma because the flavor is more tame. So when you're smelling it as well, the prominent pumpkin from the aroma is enhancing the flavor and upping it just ever so slightly to that slightly above middle point. And I'm only getting fruity notes from this coffee in terms of taste. I'm not getting any earthy or flowery type of taste. I am getting the spice because there was cinnamon added to it. There was pumpkin spice added on top. And then just for a little bit extra, I put in a little bit of cacao powder. So all of that is creating a nice taste to it. But the coffee doesn't feel as alive as maybe a pumpkin spice latte that you get from Starbucks. That's more sweet, and they pump in a lot more pumpkin spice and a lot more flavoring. So you're getting a real prominent flavor, but the only drawside about Starbucks is it's too sweet and it's too much at times. So it's really hard to finish the coffee unless you really need it. But every time I take a sip of this coffee, it is putting me in a fall mood. So it is making me a little bit more excited. Moving from Pennsylvania to Cali, you don't really get that fall type of weather or that fall type of feeling unless you go up north. So drinking this coffee and having a little cooler out reminds me of back home where the leaves are falling and you're just walking down, the sun is going down, and just overall providing just a nice secluded mood. For flavor, because it's not as prominent, I am gonna put this at a 3.5 out of 5. Let's talk about body. So this coffee is more predominantly water-based, so which is a good thing because with pumpkin, if it's thick, it's more sweet and it sticks around, and sometimes you kind of want to get rid of that feeling with sweeter coffees. You don't want them to stick around because just overall provides just a weird and uneasy feeling. It does provide a good mouthfeel. It does kind of coat your mouth ever so slightly, but it doesn't stick around. It's not real prominent and it does dissipate pretty quickly. So if you want that taste, but you don't want it to stick around, this is going to be perfect for you, especially with the ice in here to kind of dilute the flavor a little bit, but it is a good experience. In addition to the flavor and the aroma, like I mentioned, how it's bringing you back to those type of moods, having this in your mouth and thinking about that enhances it even more than just taking a sip and thinking about the type of feeling and experience afterwards. It's more prominent when it's in your mouth, so having the body be perfect enhances the experience even more. For body, I'm gonna put this at a 3 out of 5. Let's talk about sweetness. It's making the sweetness be brought down, so it's not as prominent as other pumpkin spice lattes that you'll get elsewhere. So if you're not into that extreme taste, this coffee from Peet is gonna be for you. But if you want that sweetness and you want that kick and that punch and that feeling in your mouth, then you could go elsewhere, like Starbucks, but it is maintaining that sweetness all throughout. It's not changing at all, besides that little bit of sour feeling from the milk, but you're not really getting that as much, just maybe in the beginning, but 2 seconds afterwards, you're gonna get that prominent pumpkin taste, and it is really close to the perfect level of sweetness for me, where it's just above middle and it's not super sweet. So I was kind of afraid that getting this coffee, the sweetness was going to be over the top, because a lot of coffee shops, they make the pumpkin spice really sweet, sometimes overbearing, but this, they made it to that perfect level, so you still get that pumpkin spice taste. The sweetness, having it be at the level where it is, it's not washing out any of the flavors, it's not enhancing the pumpkin, and it's not bringing it down. It's keeping it at that equal level. If the sweetness was more, then the pumpkin spice would kind of get thrown off. And if it was less than what it's at, it would wash out the flavor, so you wouldn't really get that pumpkin feeling. You would just get light pumpkin taste, but more so a water feeling. For sweetness, I'm gonna put this at 3.5 out of 5. So with the aftertaste, it is getting better as you're drinking the coffee. In the beginning, you're getting that normal, prominent pumpkin feeling and the overall mood. And then once it's going down your throat and it's finishing up, it's becoming more prominent, and it kind of is enhancing everything. Maybe just by double. It's not enhancing it a whole lot, but it's providing a nice, creamy, smooth overall finish. So this is the only coffee that I'm gonna give bonus points in terms of the aftertaste being different. So because it is enhancing it even more. To the beginning, it was just right where it's at, and then ended up becoming better. So your overall experience and your thoughts of the coffee were enhanced even more. And it does coat your mouth. It is providing that wet feeling. It's not drying it out. Even though the sweetness is not at that top level, it is still coating your mouth and still making it wet, so it is slightly sticking around, but the overall feeling does dissipate quickly. It is providing a slight snake-like trail where it's going from minimal and then it gets great, and then once the coffee is all the way gone, it goes to minimal again, and then once you take the sip, it goes back to great. So it's gonna create that nice snake path from the beginning to the end. So for aftertaste, I am gonna put this at 3.5 out of 5. Next up is gonna be balance. So the coffee does change, but it does change for the better, like I mentioned. It does get better over time slightly. You would be able to figure out that this is a pumpkin spice latte because not a lot of flavors besides cinnamon and vanilla kind of give off that taste. So you would be able to pick up the ingredients pretty quickly in this coffee. Just the overall milk, coffee, and cinnamon do combine real well. So it does provide that great aroma and flavor as well. None of the flavors and none of the feelings change drastically. Flavor stays the same and the aroma stays the same, but the overall experience and the body feeling and the coffee feeling do change. For balance, I am gonna put this at a 4 out of 5. Next up is gonna be complexity. So the coffee Obviously, pumpkin spice, not gonna be complex. The looks is not gonna change, but because there was the pumpkin spice on top, and then I put cinnamon and the mocha, and it kind of changed the flavor slightly, but not too much. So it did give off a spicy cacao like pumpkin spice latte. It was slightly different. I did make it a little bit more complex, but the base coffee that you get is not as complex. You could brand the coffee with the little cardboard that goes on the coffee cup, so you are seeing where you got the coffee from exactly. But the coffee shop, it is different and it is bigger, and you can do more than other coffee shops. There's a lot of seating outside, it wraps around the building, and then there's a lot of seating inside, and it is on a busy Ventura Road, so you can kind of sightsee and people see as well. But the taste, since the taste is not as sweet as other pumpkin spice lattes, it is different and it is kind of slightly more complex in that kind of category. For complexity, I am gonna put this at about 3 out of 5. Let's talk about forgiveness. I'm not gonna forgive the coffee because the scores that I got deserve it, but because it's a slightly different pumpkin spice latte, it is where it is. So the flavor is not as prominent as the aroma, but the aroma does make up for the lack of slight flavor, but then the lack of heavy sweetness does enhance the flavor, so it kind of circles back at each other and kind of corrects each other as the coffee goes on. So you don't need to forgive the coffee at any point because the coffee kind of forgives itself. For forgiveness, I am gonna put this at a 4 out of 5. Lastly, it's gonna be versatility. This coffee is gonna be versatile for those cooler months. So you can grab this coffee in the beginning of September and it will last you all the way up until March. So there's a good amount, half the year that you can grab this coffee. And even in the summer months, if you get this iced and you still have that pumpkin kick, you are able to grab this coffee, but it's gonna be more prominent and it is gonna be more mood enhancing and overall experience enhancing in the cooler months today. The sun is coming out now. The mood of the coffee is changing, and it's kind of an escape thinking about the fall type of environment drinking this coffee. So seeing the bright sun and seeing just an overall LA experience where it's more warm. Drinking this coffee does bring you back to that fall mood. So this coffee is kind of powerful in that way. So for versatility, I'm gonna put this at 3.5 out of 5. All in all, the pumpkin spice latte from Peet's Coffee got a 35.5 out of 50 or 71% out of 100. Tune in for more. Peace.